Hey there and welcome back. Today I am continuing my quest in making this Land Rover Defender 90 that I bought off of Bring a Trailer with a lot of issues into the vehicle that I thought I was buying. If we take a look inside the Land Rover, you can see the floor is all wet. That is brake fluid coming from the clutch master cylinder. Since the day I received this vehicle, it has had a little bit of problem going into second gear. This could be related to the leak in the master cylinder, but either way I need to get this fixed and stop this leak. Brake fluid is very corrosive, and if it gets on paint it will eat it. If you look here behind the clutch pedal, you can see that the paint is starting to peel off a little bit there. I am also going to pull this floor mat out and get it cleaned up. Replacing the clutch master cylinder would not be that big of a job on a right-hand drive vehicle, but on the left-hand drive vehicles they have stuffed the master cylinder way down in here, and when you remove that assembly there is not enough room to squeeze it past this brake booster. So sometimes the instructions tell you you must take the brake servo and master cylinder off, and other times that you need to remove the entire front fender. I'm going to try to get this master cylinder out by just loosening up the brake master cylinder assembly and seeing if I can wiggle it through there. The first thing I need to do is disconnect this pipe connected to the top of the master cylinder, and as you can see there isn't even enough room to get the wrench in there, and if I did get it in there I wouldn't be able to turn it. The wrench is on there but it's all bound up. There's nowhere for it to turn. So I'm going to try to loosen it with this crow's foot. I'm going to have to be real careful not to strip this out. And there we go, it did loosen. But even with the crow's foot, I'm only going to be able to turn it a little bit at a time. I'm going to use the crow's foot by hand to make it easier. Should be loosened now. There we go. I think these brake lines here are going to be a big problem in getting this out, but we'll see what I can do. Now I need to remove the rubber pedal so that this will fit up through the slot once I get it loosened. Looks like there's a bunch of brake fluid that I need to clean off of this as well. And then next I need to remove these 4 bolts, which will allow this entire pedal assembly to go out through this hole into the engine bay. Now let's go up top and see if we can get this out. I've also taken the 6 bolts that hold the brake master assembly in place, and hopefully this will give me enough room to get the clutch out. I think you can see now why, if this fender were removed, that would make this job much easier. I'm going to open this bonnet further, see if that gets me anywhere. Okay, I have the bonnet standing straight up and down now. Well, that wasn't ideal. What happened is the spring on the clutch pedal pushed the pedal down and it shot brake fluid out onto literally everything, all over the camera. What's preventing me from getting this out right now is that the brake pedal is wider than the hole, so this needs to be rotated a little bit. But with all this stuff in the way, I also can't rotate it to get this out. I may have to opt to replacing this with it in place, because I don't think I'm going to get it out any further than this. If we take this plate off, we can see that the master cylinder is held onto the clutch pedal with these nuts right here. So after I remove this nut and the 2 nuts holding the master cylinder to the housing, I should be able to get it out. Looks like the bolt is spinning as well, so I'm going to have to try to hold it from that side also. So this other bolt starts to spin, it's going to be a problem trying to get in there to it. Boy, everything here is just making this impossible to get out. But I think I finally got it. Okay, let's get this over to the bench. This is not an easy job, even for me, to do it with it in the vehicle. Alright, now that I have this on the bench, this should be a lot easier, but I still may need a special wrench to get into this nut. Now we can see that nut that would be so difficult to get to with this sitting inside of the car. All right, we have one last hurdle now, and that is that nut right there. The problem is you can get a normal wrench onto it. You may not have enough movement to actually get it to do anything. It looks like that's the problem I've got. I can't turn that anymore with a normal wrench. Okay, I went and quickly ground down a cheap wrench to make a special wrench to get in there. This should be small enough, yeah, to now turn that in this small confined space. This rod keeps spinning along with the nut, so I'm going to use a pair of vice grips and see if I can keep that from turning. Okay, I'm getting to the end and that rod is spinning again. Finally got it. That was a lot of wrench flipping. I'm going to put this nasty pedal box into the solvent to get all this brake fluid cleaned out of it. Brake fluid has made a real mess of this. Here's the new master cylinder. It came with a new rod, but it did not come with new nuts, so I do have to supply that myself. As you can see, it looks the same. Both of them are TRWs. I would recommend getting the best quality master cylinder that you can find. That way you don't have to do this job again for a long time. And I will have to swap this fitting from the old one to the new one. Now I can just put everything back together the way it came out. I am going to put this cover back on, but this may have to come out to readjust the clutch once I get it in the car and get it functional. All right, time to see if I can sneak this back into the Defender. This needs to go in this direction first so that this pedal can go through the slot in the firewall, and then it needs to turn like that because the pedal will not fit through that hole in this direction. Okay, and it is in. So that's a lot easier now that I know how it has to come out, and hopefully that will help someone else figure out how to get this out of here. I'll connect up the brake hose, bolt down both of the master cylinder assemblies, and then we'll put some brake fluid in it. Everything is bolted back in. Now I just need to put brake fluid in and see if it works. So I'll fill the reservoir up here, and then we need to go down underneath the vehicle and bleed the clutch. There are many ways to bleed your brakes or clutch, so I'm not going to go into them in this video. You can gravity bleed it. You can have a friend help you push the pedal up and down. You could use a vacuum or a pressure bleeder, but I will show you where the slave cylinder is, and it's right there. You would want ideally to have the bleeder be on the top rather than the bottom of the hose, but having the bleeder on the bottom like this makes it ideal for gravity bleeding. So you can just open up that bleeder, let the brake fluid come through until there's no more air. Make sure that you don't run it dry. Make sure the reservoir is always filled. I have everything back together and the clutch bled, but now I need to top off the master cylinder, and you can see how poor this design was, converting it from right-hand drive to left-hand drive. How am I even supposed to get anything in here to put fluid into that master cylinder? So I'm going to use a turkey baster, one of these bulbs. I'll suck up the brake fluid from the bottle and then put it into the reservoir that way. I really don't like doing it this way because it's an easy way to drip brake fluid onto your bodywork, but they don't give you much of any other choice. And that's going to be it for today. I think this takes care of the last of the issues that this Defender had when I bought it on Bring a Trailer. So if you want to see more videos of me personalizing this Defender and making it my own, comment below and click subscribe.